Hello everyone, welcome to another league race video. This one's quite special to me because it's actually on a track where I first started my league racing journey. So my first ever league race was in Imola, and that was on the 25th of January, I think, or the end of January. And this race took place on the 26th of March, which is almost 2 months, or just over 2 months apart. And I kind of just wanted to just show my progress in terms of how quick have I become and everything. And I was quite nervous for this race and to find out my progress, but as you can see on the screen here, I've actually progressed quite a bit. So I qualified with a time of 144.3 here on the right, P3, and when I started, I qualified with a time of 146.3. So it's a 2 second improvement. And with that being said, we're gonna get into the main part of the video, which is the race. So yeah, this is the race start. Again, before the race start, I set myself goals, and I think for this race, I wanted to keep my P3. I think the guys ahead are quite a bit faster than me. As you saw in the quali times, they're about half a second faster. It could be worse on the race pace actually, because when we're using harder tires compared to quali. So yeah, it's about adapting to these tires and the track. So this is the race start, and I'm just trying to find my lane and keep it clean um, through this first chicane. And that was quite a clean start. So I think at this point, I just wanted to maintain this, get comfortable, and just get into a rhythm as I do that second chicane. And you can see in the background there, actually, the P4 span it in that corner and ended up kind of giving me a bit of breathing space so I could just focus on the guys ahead. Slipstream in Imola is quite strong, so that was kind of what I'm hoping bridges the gap between me and these guys. And as long as they're fighting, I can be with them as well because they're costing each other time. And that was really like my strategy, is just to um, allow them to keep fighting, and I'm just gonna, as a slower driver, I just want to be there or thereabouts to kind of pounce if they end up touching or make a mistake. So rounding off towards the final chicane here and into the back straight, everything's clean, and I've kept up with the leaders. So, and it just seems like the P1 is maybe pulling out ahead a little bit here, but I think I wasn't so worried. I think the P2 guy has a lot of speed. I think he's, you know, as fast as P1 actually, in my opinion, in race pace. It's just, I think this P2 guy does make quite a bit of mistake during the race. And I was hoping not to put any pressure on him and just let him catch up to the guy ahead. But you can see kind of like the P1 has actually clocked out here, and I'm just trying to not lose too much because this guy is kind of slowing down for some reason. So I made a move here in T1 and made it stick. Unfortunately for the guy, he, I don't know, oversteered on exit there, or he got scared or spooked and he made a mistake and ended up spinning. So it's kind of just a two-horse race at this point. And to be honest with you, I just did not have the pace to catch P1. Like, he is miles ahead of me in terms of pace. So I'm going to cut to halfway to the race, and through the final corner, he actually makes a big mistake, and I sneak in and actually take P1. So surprised, I was surprised. Sorry, surprise! I'm P1 here halfway through the race, and later on as well. If you look at the rear view mirror, he also runs wide on here, and costs him another second or two. So at this point in the race, 8 minutes and 40 seconds left, I'm about 3.5 seconds ahead. So, the goal was just to keep him behind, or just, drive as fast as possible. But he had so much pace that 5 minutes, in 5 minutes time, he actually catches up to me here. And I just didn't have any pace. I'm also struggling with the fronts with understeer. I think I had some of the setup completely wrong in terms of tire pressures, because my tires were kind of cold. My fronts were quite cold, and I just didn't have the grip. So he's applying quite a bit of pressure here now, and I make a big mistake here, thinking I needed to defend. I don't think I actually needed to defend it, and I overslowed, and I just let him absolutely run by on the outside. Fair play to him though for making the move stick. But yeah, that was a mistake. I don't think I needed to defend there. I think I could just kept my outside line, and I don't think he would make a move there anyways. With the dare to air in these cars, it's enough to defend in some corners, as he oversteers and I oversteer. So we both make a mistake there on the exit of that chicane, and this gives me kind of a run. I guess his snap was bigger than mine, so gives me a little bit of run, but I wasn't close enough to make a move. And that's kind of the story of this race. You know, I just didn't have the pace to the P1 guy. So I did end up actually finishing P2, and we're gonna skip to the end of the race here. So this is the end of the race. We have a back marker, and yeah, I guess we achieved the goal that we set at the start of the race of being P3 or a podium. And got P2, and perhaps could have gotten the win if we had just a little bit more pace to kind of hold P1 back, because you can still kind of see him there ahead. So yeah, that's the end of race 1. Race 2 is a reverse grid. I kind of just take the second race a bit more chill. You know, it's a bit more fun, and it's all about just overtaking and getting past slower drivers technically. But there are some quick drivers as well that got caught up, like the P2 guy spinning. So I think he's there actually on the yellow car on the left. It's hard to tell because there's actually 3 of them, driving with the same livery. I'm guessing they're teammates. But here in the start, again P1, the pole sitter, has just overtook. Like, look at him going through, and I'm just trying to follow him through. And this is one of the skills that I'm trying to kind of get better at, is just cutting through slower traffic, because he has just made, I don't know, 6 places there. So yeah, this is something I'm trying to improve. I think racecraft is definitely my biggest weakness at the moment, amongst other things in terms of like just overall pace as well. But racecraft specifically, because you saw in race 1 where I just let him go by me here in this upcoming corner. But anyways, onto race 2. We get through here and entering the Aqua Minerale complex. I've got 3 of the same teammates in front of me, and I kind of just made a mistake here. But luckily I kept it out the gravel, kept it on some sort of good surface, and I ended up not spinning the car and continuing on racing. I did lose a couple positions, as you can see, and here I think it's too optimistic for me to go down the inside, so I just let him go. So now we're down to P10, I think, starting from P15. Make that P11 as this guy gets ahead of me here. That was pretty close actually. I could have touched him and perhaps caused an accident, but luckily we gave him enough space to go down the inside. I managed to re-overtake him with a better exit, but I think he gets slipstream now, and the slipstream in these cars are quite strong, which gives him the opportunity to overtake me here. But I brake a little bit later and get that overlap, and allows me to finish that move. So onto the next 4 cars ahead here, and yeah, this race is way more action-packed for me. Having people to overtake. This guy makes a mistake, and so I make a move on the outside and I make it stick. So that was a pretty good overtake here. I'm trying to go on the wide line and then cutting in to get a better exit. I think I think this is Matt actually. He got a good exit too. Yeah, this is Matt, which is the guy I was catching in the previous video. So coming into the Aqua Minerale complex again, someone made a mistake, and that gives us a free position. So now we're up to P8, and we just keep on pushing. I don't really know. I didn't really set a goal for race 2. I was quite happy with my race 1 result already. I think I just wanted to overtake and learn in this race. Perhaps podium might have been possible, I think, in this race, if I had made more inroads. In my head, that's what I was thinking. But I just wanted to learn and push through this slower traffic. So yeah, as you can see, that's the first 5 minutes. Not much is happening beyond this point, so I'm gonna cut to later this lap actually. And the guys ahead managed to fight, and it's kind of giving me an opportunity to overtake, but I just can't find the gap to sensibly overtake these guys. Either side is blocked. I can't really dive bomb, or else I'm gonna touch the other car in front. So I'm just staying patient here, staying behind, letting them do their thing. Perhaps they'll make a mistake. Perhaps they'll I don't know, spin or something and just give me free positions, which is basically what I'm trying to do here. And through Aqua Minerale, and I'm closing in on this McLaren-inspired livery. But yeah, there's no room for two cars through this chicane, especially how bumpy this chicane is. And these cars do not like curbs. So, but I do get a little run here, a bit of slipstream. So let's see if I do make a move here on the inside. But no, I backed out again. Giving him respect. I think perhaps I could have been more aggressive there. Maybe perhaps I could have, snuck in and got that position. But I don't think it matters too much because I get slipstream on this straight. So as you can see, I'm gaining so much time on the McLaren inspired livery here. So this allows me actually to make a move into T1 and brake later on the outside here. Let's see if I can make that happen. And I did brake much later and managed to secure that overtake. And another driver here in the blue made a mistake, and he's actually one of the quick drivers, so that was another freebie for us. This guy gets a slipstream and gets a run. I play defensive and managed to keep this position. And here I'm trying to find a space for me to overtake. I go to the inside to follow the red and white car, but yeah, there's nothing giving there. So let's see in the next few corners if I can find a gap for me to go through. And here I made a mistake. I misjudged how quick the guy was, so I ended up actually tapping his rear, and I backed off here. I did not want to make it 3 wide through Aqua Minerale. Orange car broke early. The blue car made a mistake, and then the orange car got taken out from somewhere, and that allowed me to actually get through now. So and also get some breathing space from behind again. Going through that chicane, I think this guy actually had a bad exit, and I had a decent exit, which gives me a run on him towards the final 2 corners of this track. So I managed to overtake him before the braking zone and brake late enough to keep the position. So I managed to, keep it. And with that overtake and 12 minutes left on this race too, not much really happened. It was just a matter of catching up to Matt and P3 guy. And here, minute 6, P3 actually span, and which gave me another free position there. So I'm up to P4, and actually gives me an opportunity to get into the podium here. So I'm 2 seconds behind Matt, about 6 minutes to go, and it was just qualifying lap after qualifying lap. We skipped to the final lap of the race. And I'm about a second behind Matt here, gaining more and more through that chicane, and gives me a little run here. He has to kind of defend here, but fair play to him. He managed to keep his minimum speed quite high and get a decent exit to this little straight. I had pressure from behind as well, so it was a 3-car battle actually for the final podium spot. And coming into Aqua Minerale, I just wanted to really push and get that overtake because I did not want pressure from behind. But unfortunately for me, I made a mistake. I hit the curb in a wrong, and I was kind of asking too much for the car, and I ended up oversteering and losing a position through this chicane. Again, little oversteer. there, and I just knew I lost the opportunity to even keep my P4 position. So I knew P5 was for me. But let's have a look at what's going to happen up ahead, because it did end up becoming a photo finish. And again, they're making a mistake. Yeah, photo finish between the two cars, and I think there was literally like 0.002 second difference between the two. As you can see there, they're drag racing, and um, the guy that spun actually managed to get the position, so he ended up getting P3, and that was the race, both races. So thank you guys for listening in. Again, I'm really quite happy with the progress I made here in 2 months, getting 2 seconds and getting closer to the front runners. So see you guys in the next video. Thank you for all the support.